to India and Ireland, round Africa and back again. We don't really need to know just where we'll go. Maybe Canada, then to Brazil, then through the Alpine foothills. All I really want to know is, can we go? Oh baby, can we go? Round and around the globe.
Welcome to Take Me With You, episode 90. I'm Ryan,
And I'm Cheryl. We are two well-traveled people who want to go everywhere.
but that's not going to happen. Instead, we'll travel vicariously by inviting a guest to share their unique travel stories with us.
Today, we are talking to me.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hello, my name is Cheryl.
Hi, Cheryl. Welcome to Take Me With You. What brings you here today?
Well, I got an email today that I would like to read you.
Okay.
Hi, Cheryl. Your
Hi, Cheryl.
refund for your reservation at blah, 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 lots of numbers and everything, has been processed and is on its way. This email serves as a confirmation that the following has been refunded. And then it tells me about how I'm getting a refund for my reservation at Yosemite because my reservation has been canceled to go to Yosemite.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
Wait, so the email doesn't even technically say anything other than that you're getting a refund?
oh wait, I didn't read you the first email. I read you the second email.
I was like, wow, that's kind of not a great way to communicate with
Let's
people.
try that again. Hi, Cheryl. We're sending you this message because your recreation.gov reservation, blah, blah, blah. And then it says a location closure has been issued for Upper Pines from these dates due to public safety concerns.
Man.
Wah, wah, wah. So,
Yeah. That's no good, Cheryl. And just because timing of when we record and when things come out can sometimes get a little confusing, why don't you give us sort of a big picture timeline? When were you originally planning this trip? How did that whole thing work out? And then where are we now compared to when you were originally going to be leaving on the trip?
sounds good. So, you and I recorded an episode on March 2nd planning this trip
Yes, we
that
did.
my husband and my stepson and I are taking in
Mhm.
early July. And I made reservations for a campground at Yosemite on February 15th at 7:02 a.m., which I know because if you want reservations for a place like Yosemite in the summer, you need to be online at exactly the time that
Yep.
it opens. And
Yep.
so last summer, I had the idea to go to Yosemite with my little family because I thought a road trip would be great. My stepson, who is 6, he does great in the car. Daryl and I love road trips. And Daryl's never been to Yosemite, and he loves nature and gorgeous nature places quite a lot. And I've only been to Yosemite one time, and so I thought I'd love to go back. And so I
Yeah.
looked it up to find what dates they open up different reservation windows. And they open up a month at a time. And so I put it on my calendar that on 7 a.m. on February 15th, they open up, I believe it's June 15th to July 15th.
Okay.
And then in March, they open up the next month. So I kind of had 2 opportunities if I wanted to go during the summer
Yeah.
and go camping there. And so I had a bunch of windows open. My sister helped me do some research as far as which campgrounds I would want because they have multiple campgrounds in Yosemite.
Right.
And then I had all these windows open. And right at 7, I was like clicking on reserve and things were quickly booking up. And so the first few I tried booked up, like even by the time I was clicking reserve. And then finally I got one for early July. And it by 7:04, everything for the whole month was booked.
Yikes.
So, I mean, I'm probably going to try again next year because I really
Yeah.
want to go. And after doing that process, it was like, okay, that's doable. And so, and I mean, you and I like record an episode and planned it, and I have this trip planned, and it sounds great. So I
It
think I would
does.
like to go on that trip at some point. It's also
Yeah.
very funny to me that we have recorded another episode of this podcast that we never aired, planning a trip of mine
Uh-huh.
for my honeymoon.
Within the last year, as
Yeah.
a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought about that.
So, it's funny that we were debating, do we release the episode? Do we not? And we did that with the honeymoon planning and then again with this planning. But ultimately, it's like so disconnected from what's actually happening.
Yep.
And I think it's fun that we do these episodes to then hear how it went in reality afterwards.
Yeah.
But we just won't hear that. So, I mean, we'll keep it. And maybe if I go next summer, we could release it.
Yeah.
But the
Over
other
a
thing
year
that's-
later.
Yeah. The other thing that's crazy about that episode is that on March 2nd, you and I did not even mention the coronavirus.
Because it was obviously it had started in Asia. I think back in December is when it started over there, but stuff really hadn't started here yet, except it was within days of us
Yes.
recording that episode that all of a sudden
The world
things
started shutting down.
because it was, I think, by March 15th,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe it was even, I think it may have been the 13th when we closed down at my school, and then things quickly started closing after that. And so it really just, yeah, it was crazy, the timing of all of this stuff and when things started closing and when we were thinking, because when we originally closed my school, it was for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and even, so March 2nd is when we recorded, and at work, I had an event on March 6th that we canceled on the 5th because of the coronavirus. So it was that week that, and at that time I was like, this is so silly that we're canceling an event over this thing. And then like a week later, everything was shutting down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that timing was already really unique. And it was funny. I started editing that episode and I was like, you guys aren't even talking about it. How are you not talking about the element? Like, one thing we considered is you and I were trying to figure out if I could go to Disneyland before hitting up Yosemite. And we
Yeah.
didn't even talk about, like, what if Disneyland's closed? Like, nothing was a
Nope.
part of that conversation. So,
Nope.
anyway, that was just really an interesting, like, milestone to me of what was our mindset at the beginning of March compared to
Right.
June, mid to late June, where we're at now.
Yep.
Um,
We're almost at the end of June now, which
and-
brings us back to my original question.
Yes.
When is it you're supposed to be leaving on your trip?
Less than 2 weeks.
So you got the email officially canceling your trip today.
2 weeks before my reservation. 2 weeks
Okay.
from today is when I was supposed to be arriving in Yosemite.
Okay. And that's
Leaving
when you
for the
got the
trip
email.
in less than 2 weeks, yeah.
Okay.
And I've been watching
Oh.
Yosemite's website.
Yep.
Obviously, they were just closed for a while. And
Mhm.
then I checked a week or two ago, and it said they were open if you had a reservation. And they listed which campgrounds were open, and they listed mine as being open. And I was extra excited because they said they were keeping the park at 50% capacity.
Mm.
And then I was reading the website today after I got that email because I was like, wait a second, this doesn't match what I've been
Yeah.
reading so far. And if you really read all the little bullet points, it says that some of the Upper Pines campground is closed. So I don't know if they just like
Oh.
picked half and kicked them
Yeah.
out. Is it every other site? And I was also thinking through like, what if I had reserved a campground and my friends reserved one next to me?
Yeah.
That has to be so difficult for them. And are they making exceptions? Like, how is any of this going? And so
Hmm.
I don't know. But honestly, I've been holding it so loosely because, as we've talked about before, like well over half of Americans have had to cancel trips, and I haven't had to so far. So I'm just
Well,
joining.
you did have to do one so far, and now this is two.
Well, no, I mean cancel trips because of the coronavirus.
Oh, because of coronavirus.
Yes.
Gotcha.
I had to cancel my honeymoon and book a new one a week before it. Listeners can listen to episode 59 called Honeymoon Update with Cheryl.
Yeah.
To hear about that. Because, yeah, that was a crazy situation that had nothing to do with the coronavirus. But
No.
I think, I'm sure you've experienced this with travel. The more things like this you experience, the more you just learn to go with it. And the more flexible it makes you. And I think it's really good personal development. Like, I think going through my honeymoon being canceled and having to figure out, like, because I was like, oh, we're going on a honeymoon. Maybe we're not going on the trip we booked, but we're going. And we did.
Yeah.
We went on a wonderful trip. It was awesome.
Right.
And so I think it's funny because you and I are such planners, and we love it being booked out far in advance and on the calendar, and it's all worked out. And then being like, oh, I'm going somewhere in a week or 2 weeks, and I don't know where. It's like, oh, it's possible. You can totally book a trip last minute and just make it work. And you don't even have to have each day mapped out. That's fine. It can still be great. And also smartphones are pretty awesome and can help you do research on the fly. So, yeah, I think that, I mean, with the coronavirus and seeing all these people cancel their trips, it was one of those things where I had in the back of my mind of like, I might join that, you know, with this trip I had booked this summer. And I had a couple weeks where I thought that wasn't the case, but still I wasn't really allowing myself to get that excited about it because I felt like, we'll see. You know, I think it's just giving us a new level of realizing that nothing is really certain. You know, that like none of our plans, even plans that we think there's no way that plan could get changed, it could.
Yeah, that's really true. I think it's interesting because with this trip and then also with your honeymoon, in both instances, leading up to the canceling / changing of it, you really did a good job of setting your own expectations. And I think that is a really difficult but important way of helping people be flexible and be able to pivot when things don't go right. And when you expect everything will work the way you want it to, I think it's a lot harder to go ahead and be flexible. Whereas when you're like, hey, this is the way it is, this is what I want, but it may not work. I think just going in with that mindset makes it easier to then adjust when things don't go the way you want. At least that's been my experience. And it seems to be what I'm hearing from you as well.
I think you're right. And it's funny because I am very positive and I'm an optimist.
Yes, you are.
And there are times when being an optimist can kind of bite you. You know, and it's like, man, I thought it was all going to work out and it didn't. And then, so I think in some ways I've become more of a realist through experiences like this. And that's been good for me. And then my positivity still kicks in. Because I've said this on this podcast, I think I say it every week, I want to go everywhere.
Yep. So
if plan A doesn't work out, and I know we're still going to go somewhere cool, I still get to go on a trip.
You just still go somewhere, yeah.
And I dream about traveling to all sorts of places and local places, faraway places. I have so many places that are on my radar. And obviously that keeps increasing as we do this podcast too. But even like my husband will, you know, he's lived in Eastern Washington a lot. And he's told me about different places that I've been wanting to go to. And so we're talking about like, oh, heading a little east. So I'll tell you about this route we're talking about soon. But that's just exciting because there are places where he and I have talked about, oh, at some point, let's go there. And it's like, cool, let's go there then. I've been wanting to.
Yeah.
So that kind of flips it. And Yosemite will still be there. And, you know, like we'll still get to go at some point. There's plenty of opportunities to go to national parks. And so, I don't know. I still feel a lot of excitement because I'm taking a week off of work and going on a road trip with my family. Yeah. So it's going to be great.
Yep. And that's a great perspective. And I think you will enjoy yourself more because of that perspective. Which, I mean, really, that's not the only reason, but that's, I think, a big component to why we travel, right? Because we enjoy it.
Yes.
And if you can't enjoy whatever the replacement is, then what's the point?
Yeah, then stay home.
Yeah.
Don't
'Cause
spend the
if you're
money
just
or the time.
exactly, if it's just going to be something where you're just sad that you're not where your original place was, then yeah, just stay home and be sad instead of
Yeah.
travel and be sad.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's a great perspective of being able to realize, hey, it may not be where I was originally planning to go, but I still got to go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your road trip take 2 and
Okay.
what the plan is for this?
You're probably going to want to open up some maps.
I'm about to open Google Maps here just so that I can
Great.
visually follow along. I apologize to all of our listeners who are in a place where they can't open up a map and follow along, but maybe they have really good mental maps.
And hopefully our words will be so amazing that we'll just be able to paint that picture of the map.
Yes, yep, that's
So,
what we'll do.
I have 2 reservations already that, as far as I know, are still a go. So we would like to still do those and then just take a turn from there.
Okay.
So my plan was to drive down I-5 in Washington, just fast and boring, and then cut over to the Oregon coast. Drive down the Oregon coast, at least
Now, at what
partway.
point were you going to cut over?
Like Longview area. Where
Okay,
you
so
go,
still in Washington.
You're right, yeah. So where you go past Astoria and then you hit Seaside and Cannon Beach on Highway 101.
Mm-hmm.
And then go down. I mean, if Tillamook's open, we're still going to go there.
Oh, yes.
And then head down to probably turn in around Newport. Originally, I was thinking of trying to hit up the Newport Aquarium, but I'm not sure if it's going to be open or not. Probably not. Depends on what county, though, so I'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
And then the reservation I have an Airbnb that is a tree house.
And I've already heard about this because you talked about this in the previous planning episode that we recorded. But since we're not releasing that, I think you need to describe a little bit about what that means. What is a treehouse Airbnb?
So it's just on someone's property. They built a tree house, but it has a bunk bed and then also a double bed even above that with like mattresses and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it has an outdoor shower that's connected, I think, to like a hose. And then like a creek and a fire pit and a tire swing. So kind of picture that situation. Mm-hmm. And so thinking about this originally was going to be a camping road trip. It was like, let's find accommodations that are kind of still camping, but not where we need to unload our tent.
Right.
And so, and with a 6-year-old, I really want to have some unique, fun things for him. And I thought, oh my gosh, what 6-year-old would not want to sleep in a treehouse?
A treehouse, yeah.
I think we can still do that one. So that's where we would head. It's kind of near Corvallis area.
Okay.
So we would head in from there. The next night, I also have reservations near Crater Lake. And it is called the Crater Lake Resort. And it's, I believe, just a little south of Crater Lake. And they have some cabins there and they have some campsites. But then they also have 6 glamping sites, which are canvas tents with little beds with mattresses in them. And so we're going to stay in one of those. So I'm going to call them tomorrow because I need to make sure everything's open if we're still going to go to these. But I haven't been to Crater Lake since I was a kid. And so that'll be really fun. And from driving from only like Corvallis there, it's only like 3 hours or so.
Yeah, it's not super far.
So it'll give us a good amount of time at Crater Lake.
Mm-hmm.
So then those are all my reservations. So what we would like to do is from Crater Lake is drive to Boise.
Oh, okay.
So go ahead and add that if you're doing a little loop or whatever you're doing.
So from Crater Lake, driving. Let's see. Oh, that's actually, I didn't realize how far south Boise was.
Yeah, I always
So
forget.
it's more or less almost directly east
Hmm.
from Crater Lake, north just a little bit, it looks like.
Yeah.
But okay.
And then hang out in Boise. Maybe do like 2 nights there, because if you drive straight from Crater Lake to Boise, that's going to be like a day. Because
Yeah.
it's, I think, like 7 or 8 hours of driving.
Mm-hmm.
And then go to Missoula, Montana.
Okay.
This is one of the places Daryl has told me about Missoula, and we've been wanting to go there sometime. He likes it, and he likes Flathead Lake, which is a little north of Missoula. And so that's
Okay.
been on my radar. The only time I've spent time in Montana is like going through it to go to Yosemite.
Mm.
Not Yosemite, I'm sorry. Going through it to go to Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's like barely Montana, because Yellowstone's mainly Wyoming, actually. And so I just haven't seen much in Montana. So that would be fun. And then we are wondering if Glacier National Park is open, and if so, do they let people go in just for the day? Because we could drive north past Flathead Lake and go to Glacier National Park, and then from there drive back home to Seattle on I-90. So it'd be a big loop. So south, east, north, and west.
Yeah, that would be a big loop. So just to review, you would do, the first night would be where?
Probably Longview. That's one of those where we'll probably
Okay.
head out on Friday night and just see how far we want to drive.
How far
and
you
then
get.
find a
Okay.
hotel.
Okay. So you're leaving on a Friday evening
Mm-hmm.
after work.
Yes.
Okay. So that Friday is not all day traveling. It's
Correct.
working and then leaving to go.
Yep.
Okay. And so then probably staying somewhere around Longview. So that's day one. Then day two, heading down the coast of Oregon, which is gorgeous and you're going to love. And then staying night two at the treehouse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then night three is at Crater Lake.
Yes.
Okay. And then night 4 and 5 was going to be in Boise.
Mm-hmm.
And then was it one night in Missoula?
Well, maybe
2 nights?
2 or maybe even 3.
Okay.
Like, would we want to see Missoula, like do stuff around there, and then head up to Flathead Lake or Glacier National Park? And should I go back to Missoula, or should I stay somewhere kind of on the way back home a little bit more if we are able to go to the park?
Yeah.
And then probably just head straight home on I-90 from there, because that's like a day of driving, which I think at that point we'll just be happy to get home,
Yeah.
kind of at a road trip, like just head on home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have events already, things that you for sure want to see, or is that what you'd like the two of us to talk about right now?
I think that's what I'd like us to do. Daryl did mention that there's a good zoo in Boise, and we love a zoo.
Oh, yep. Okay.
And
That's
then
cool.
I think we just also need to figure out, like, what should we do? Like, what's good family activities, and what's open as well.
Well, and that's the crazy thing, of course, is because what's open today may or may not be what's open 2 weeks from now when you're there.
Yeah.
So I'm pulling up a few websites that I think I've mentioned before. Although now that I think about it, I may have mentioned one of them when we recorded the previous episode that was the planning. So I now don't know if I've mentioned one of them. I know I've talked about before. The other one I may or may not have actually mentioned that our listeners could have listened to. So the first one I know I've mentioned is Atlas Obscura. And you know that I enjoy Atlas Obscura because it just has some of the big standard things, but they also have some of the things that you maybe wouldn't know as much, but that sometimes can be really interesting, like the Trees of Mystery or the Mystery Spot or things like that. And then the other website that I just pulled up to help us look is called Roadside America.
Oh.
Do you remember? Have we talked about this?
I don't know if we have. It's not really
Okay.
sounding familiar.
Okay. RoadsideAmerica.com is for road trips, but it's it may or may not be your style. I think actually some of it may be your style, Cheryl, because I know you enjoy the humor in life. And it basically is all of the tourist trap, kitschy, random, weird things that exist across the country. And so
Nice.
and some of them are not, necessarily crazy, ridiculous things. But like right now, it's just scrolling through something and it says the world's largest ball of twine in Cocker City, Kansas. So if you wanted to see that, you can find that on this website. So that is a way of kind of finding some fun, different types of sites along your route without having to do a ton of looking at each individual city, if that makes sense. So where it sounds like the beginning part of your trip, you kind of already know the things you want to see.
Yes. I feel more comfortable with like the Oregon section of it.
Yeah.
I think, I've just had time to think about it. And I just need to review these things I want to go to and see what's open. But what's great about like a nature road trip is even if nothing's open, it's going to be a great trip.
Just it'll be beautiful.
Getting to see the coast is always wonderful. And so we'll still have fun with all of that. But I'll need to check, like, can I get ice cream and cheese at Tillamook or not?
Right. And you have or have not been there before?
I've never been there. I've driven through Tillamook, but I've never been to the factory.
Okay, so here's what it says right now. They have a COVID-19 update on their website. As we begin a phased reopening, the health and safety of our guests, our employees, and our community is our top priority. At this time, grab and go service is now available at our outside ice cream counter only, with a limited menu and limited hours on weekdays only.
Oh, I'm going past there on a Saturday.
You would be.
So,
we hope to welcome more visitors back to the Creamery Visitor Center later this summer, and we'll provide updates as they occur. So right now, if you were to go right now, you wouldn't be able to do anything because you're going on the weekend.
Yes.
But it might open up by the time in the next 2 weeks.
Maybe. Yeah, things change really quickly. So
yeah,
we will see.
It looks like you probably won't be able to go in and do all of that stuff necessarily, but you might still be able to get some ice cream. Maybe a grilled cheese.
Good. And I'm going to check the aquarium in Newport, Oregon.
Okay.
They say they have a temporary closure. It's going to remain closed at least in June. They will reopen soon after Lincoln County enters phase 2. So again, I'm just going to have to check and see. Yep. But a lot of businesses are doing a really good job at updating their website and their social media. And thinking about this aquarium and the zoo, I just went to a zoo yesterday.
Oh.
I went to the Point Defiance Zoo in Tacoma,
Oh, that's
Washington.
right. I saw that you had posted that on social media. I didn't realize that they were open.
They were open by reservation only. So you had to get tickets online in advance and choose a time, which I've experienced at museums before. Have you ever experienced that?
I think so. It doesn't sound new to me.
Yeah, I've experienced
I like
it
that
at like small exhibits. I think when they're trying to limit the number of people in it, and so it was kind of amazing because we already had our ticket. There were hardly any people in line. There were plenty of parking spots. Driving up to it, we got worried because there were all these people trying to do street parking, and there was someone like waving traffic, and we were like, oh my gosh, do we have to park here? We're not even going to make our reserved time. This is annoying. And then we realized there was a sign that said if you have a ticket to the zoo, you can just go straight. And we went to their parking lot, and we're just able to park and go in. And there was
what were all the other people doing?
Going to like a local park or different things like that.
Oh,
because it's a really beautiful area.
Right.
And so it was kind of great because there weren't a lot of people around. And so it was really nice that we didn't have to like wade through people, you know, at the different exhibits. And there were lots of arrows on the path so no one was crashing into each other. And it was like, we need to keep some of these practices. So, anyway, I would wonder, like, if this aquarium does open up, are they going to do something like that? And then we could check out the zoo in Boise and see, do they have something like that? And all of this is probably going to depend on what county these different places
Right.
are in.
Yep. I have on Atlas Obscura 6 cool, hidden, and unusual things to do in Boise.
Oh, okay.
You ready? So I'm just going to read the little brief ones and you can say which ones you might want to know more about.
Okay.
So we've got the Black Cliffs. These black pillars of volcanic basalt seem to call mountain climbers with an unbreakable siren song. They look like columnar basalts, which we've talked about on this podcast before.
We have.
And you've seen before because you used to live by some.
I know.
So that's an option. Old Idaho State Penitentiary.
No, thank you.
Okay. The Basque Block. The small section of Boise, Idaho maintains the unique culture and traditions of the Basque people.
What?
Yeah. So it sounds kind of like a Leavenworth, or I feel like there was another one that we just talked about recently.
In Japan, when we did that dark tourism
episode.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep. So it seems like one of those. So apparently there's a Basque Block.
Oh my goodness.
That could be fun. There's the Big Idaho Potato Hotel. When in Idaho, sleep in a giant potato.
That sounds like it's a sister of the Corn Palace.
Uh-huh. And it looks like just one big giant potato. So that's an option for lodging if you're looking for something. Freak Alley Gallery, the largest outdoor art gallery in the northwestern United States. It looks like, from the picture, it looks like street art style. Okay. So that might be something that would be open if it's just outside. Mm-hmm. Smurf Turf. Boise State's stadium was the first non-green football field in the world, and apparently it's blue.
Oh, funny.
And it's real blue. And then Repop Gifts. This pop culture shop also offers the chance to become a part of their favorite TV show or a movie.
Cute. Interesting. I want to hear about the cliffs and the Basque Block.
Okay. All right. Let's look at we'll start with the Black Cliffs. The Black Cliffs along the Boise River leading to Lucky Peak Reservoir are a popular place for rock climbing in the Treasure Valley of Idaho. Made of volcanic columnar basalt. Who called that one? The cliffs provide ideal handholds and footholds that seem to have been created to cater to climbers.
So is it worth it if I just want to go look at them and I don't want to climb them?
That's what I'm looking at. Let me check here. It says Atlas Obscura gives a link to Google Maps, and so it'll show on Google Maps. Oh, it's not very far from Maine, Boise. It doesn't look like.
Oh.
And it looks like it's right on Interstate 84. So it's right off of a main highway. It looks like, according to Google Maps. Whether that's actually true or not, I don't know.
So it could be something even just to drive by. Yeah,
drive by it, or drive by, get out, walk around, get back in the car, keep going. Nice. So that's an option. Do a little geology teaching there, because you gotta love some rocks. Okay, so that's what I can see on that one. And then the Basque Block, which I thought you'd be kind of excited by.
Oh, for sure.
Because remind me, when you've been to Spain, you have or have not been up to the Basque country?
I have, yes.
Okay. In downtown Boise, so it's just in Boise, lies a small cluster of buildings dedicated to preserving the culture of Europe's mysterious Basque people. The Basque Block in Boise consists of a small number of cultural centers and businesses that maintain every aspect of Basque culture as accurately as possible, from its hearty culinary traditions. See, now you're excited.
Yep.
On down to the charming plaster and wood frame Etxea. I'm totally mispronouncing that. Etxea. Etxea. I can't say that. Etxea. Architecture. I don't know.
X's play a weird role in some of the Spanish but not Spanish languages. Like in Spain,
Okay.
there's like all these other little languages around
Right.
the different regions, and some of them,
Right.
there's an X in the words where I just don't even know how to pronounce it. So yeah.
Okay. Some of the businesses on the block include 2 boarding houses and meeting centers. The Cyrus Jacobs U Ubre I'm going to say that wrong. Uberwaga House. Okay. And yeah, a couple other buildings named after people where visitors can witness Basque dance recitals or play the original Basque version of the sport of Jai Ali. There's also a cultural center, and it says where the elderly members gather to play moose, a traditional card game. The block also features 2 unique eateries.
Ooh.
Bar Guernica, named for the small town immortalized by Picasso, following its destruction by Nazi firebombing, and Liku Ona, a more upscale dining destination.
Great.
So I think you've got some places to go.
Yeah, that'd be really fun to visit, even just to look at the buildings, even if everything was closed. That would be really fun to go
Yeah.
see. And there's a Trader Joe's like a block away, it looks like. So, I mean, you know.
So you'll be set. Are you starring these on a Google map as we go?
I am. And so we had a guest on that kind of took you and I to the next level with our Google Maps abilities, which was so fun. It was Christy Bruner, who was on episode 76. And you and I have talked about starring things on Google Maps before, and I've already shared that that's one of my favorite planning techniques to do, is whenever I hear about anything, just star it. And then whenever I'm in a city or even a specific neighborhood, I just open it and look at where I have stars and try to group what I visit together based on what's close by. And then Christy told us you could create different maps. And so there are these ones that you might have seen before. I think there's starred, favorites, or want to go. But they're called lists, and you can make your own list. So I made one called 2020 Road Trip, and I'm adding things to that list. And then apparently what she said is you can just share that list with different people. So if someone ever said, hey, I heard that you visited this city before, where should I go? You could just send them that list, which would be great. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Nice. It looks I'm seeing less around Missoula on Atlas Obscura, but there are a few things. Apparently Missoula has a carousel, a classic carnival carousel.
Oh, cute.
There is just north of Missoula, there's a garden of 1,000 Buddhas.
Interesting.
There is a Garnet, Montana, which is a little bit farther east of Missoula, is amazingly preserved gold rush town. And then things start getting farther and farther away. There is if you were heading back on I-90 more west, there is the St. Regis Trout Museum. It says between Missoula and Spokane, a family-owned travel center has an unusual museum in the back. So that could be exciting. All right, let's see.
And I'm looking at the zoo in Boise, which is called Zoo Boise.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
And they are open, and they are doing tickets the same as I just described with the Point Defiance Zoo, which reduces lines. So I'm just so on board with that.
Oh, yeah. Well,
That's
it's
great.
like, I don't think we've talked about this on this podcast because we don't usually talk about movies a whole lot on the podcast, but this is travel related. When I went to London, when I was, when we were both there basically at the same time, you remember that.
I think I actually did hear the specific dates, and now I don't remember them. I'll have to ask my mom again because she told me what actual dates we were there.
Oh, And I don't remember the actual dates I was there either, but they
Oh
were
my
very
goodness.
close to each other.
Yeah, the
The
same
point is,
summer.
while I was there, we saw a movie, and I think it was Chicken Run or something, and they had reserved seating in the movie theater in the year 2000,
Oh wow,
20 years ago.
wow.
And that's just the way it was. And I remember thinking it was super weird. And then the more I thought about it, and I was like, well, this makes a lot more sense. The same thing, movie theaters in Slovenia, they all have reserved seating, and they have for years. When they finally came to the US, I was so excited because then you don't have to stand in line in a movie theater and then try to rush in and get the seat that you want. So it's the same sort of a thing. I think it's actually more efficient to do reservations, and
Yeah.
I prefer that.
I love that. Well, and you and I have shared about that as far as like if you know you're going to this museum that everybody goes to when they visit this city, just get the ticket online. I know that not everybody likes having a ton of commitments necessarily, but make
Right.
that the one. Make that the one time where you're going to be at this place at this time because honestly, it will save you time. And no one wants to stand in line when they're traveling. I mean, no one wants to stand in line anyway, but especially when you're on a trip and you have a set amount of time in this place that you spent time and money to get to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't spend it standing in line. So, I love that. So, I probably will, because I don't think I want a ton of reservations on this trip. You know, with a road trip,
Mm-hmm.
like, I just think we want to kind of like see how we're feeling and, have options.
And then again, with COVID, you never know what's going to be open or closed
Yeah.
or which things are going to change.
But I probably will get reservations for the zoo because that would be really fun. And we
Yeah.
love a zoo. So, yeah.
All right. I have now switched over to Roadside America, and I'm back in Boise to see what we can find here. There's the Maytag Washerwoman,
What?
Sit with Giant Lincoln. Let's see what else there is here. Oh, Freak Alley. We got that one from Atlas Obscura. Castle Home. There's the penitentiary. Same thing that we looked at already. I feel like there were a few others just outside that I saw. There's a shoe fence, a big rooster, Cleo's Fairy Museum, and the Potato Hotel. Any of those you'd like to know more about?
The shoe fence and the rooster.
All right, let's look at shoe fence. Okay. Shoe fences of old footwear are an option when there are no suitable shoe trees and a peaceful alternative to human heads on spikes.
What? What?
So it's a fence. It looks like an old school fence that has just, crooked pieces of wood that are vertical up and down. And then, I don't know, some sort of wire or something that's stretched across it horizontally.
Okay.
But then on the top of each of these posts is just a shoe, and it's just hanging there.
Because
And there's a bunch of
why
shoes.
wouldn't it be?
Yep. So that's another one that I think you would drive by. Maybe you'd
Yeah.
pull off to look at it if Jack was interested in
Yeah.
looking more at the shoes. But yeah, that's about it.
Here's
Okay.
what's going to shock you is that Google Maps is having a hard time finding it.
Really? Huh. Interesting. Let me see. Now this one's a little bit trickier. Oh, it actually has an address on the website on roadsideamerica.com.
Oh, nice.
So it's 2420 East Cunamora Road in Kuna, Idaho. Kuna. And they actually have directions. I-84, exit 64. Then west a little, over 4 miles on Black Creek Road, Cunamora Road, just past the Black Creek Public Shooting Range on the right, the north side.
Oh, I'm seeing it. I mean, I don't see a street view of it or anything, but I see the shooting range.
Okay.
I
So,
have
yeah.
a friend who's from Cuna, actually. That's interesting.
Oh, it's Cuna. That's how you pronounce
I
it.
think that's what it is. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. You should ask your friend about the fence.
What if he's like, "Oh yeah, that's my parents' house." That would be great.
That would be awesome. And what was the other one that you wanted to see?
The
More about?
rooster.
Oh, the rooster. Yes, of course. It doesn't. Big rooster. That's in Nampa. So just a little bit west of Boise. Let's see. Realistically painted 8-foot tall rooster stands in a parking lot next to a breakfast restaurant.
All right.
I think I know where you're having breakfast. Giant rooster, good place to secure your dog
Well, there you go.
and have a good homemade breakfast at the Egg Factory.
The Egg Factory in Nampa.
Apparently, there's a Dairy Queen across the street.
Oh, yeah. I'm seeing that. Oh, the rooster's not that big. I mean, okay, it's big. It's the height of like a 1-story building, but I was picturing like the
8 foot
height
tall.
of like a 4 or 5-story building.
Oh, no. 8 feet tall.
Okay. Okay. I
So
mean,
2 feet taller than me. But that's still giant for a rooster.
Yes, for a rooster, that's very large.
It's not Paul Bunyan and Babe size.
That's what I was picturing.
Yeah. Sorry to disappoint.
But that makes more sense why it's a spot to secure your dog than when it's that size.
Yep.
Oh, funny.
So that's what we got from roadsideamerica.com
All right.
on Boise. Let's see if I can find anything on Missoula. Oh, Montana's got all sorts of things. Let's see what we got. So in Missoula itself, we've got the squashed cat.
What?
Wall of conserved elk heads, the big silver slipper. So those are just right in Missoula. And then nearby, oh, you don't want that one. You probably don't want this one either, but Teresa Nieves Memorial Doll Museum.
All right.
Well, I mean, the other one that is the Testicle Festival, but I don't think you want that one either. You know what, though? I think I may have actually driven past that.
What?
Because that actually sounds familiar. It's right off of I-90. And when you and I were younger, we did a trip with our church out to Montana.
Yes.
And I wonder if we drove past it then, because that actually sounds familiar. I don't think you're going to be stopping there, though.
Probably not.
I'm guessing. Probably not. There's Michelangelo of Montana Church. I don't know what that is. Big Bull on Wheels. Castle-shaped hardware store. World famous 50,000 silver dollar bar. I have driven past that one before. Any interest in more information on any of those?
The castle sounds fun.
The castle. Let me find where the castle went. There. The castle-shaped hardware store. It's in Hamilton, Montana.
Okay.
A fake front of medieval battlements and towers on a hardware store appeals to customers who want their home to be a castle. I'm looking at the picture. I don't know that it's worth a trip just there because
so surprising.
I think it's just a hardware store.
Oh man.
Oh, the squashed cat. Oh, some of these other ones, they're showing me nearby other things and actually showing me a picture. So the squashed cat, I know you didn't have any interest in the squashed cat.
No, tell me about it.
It's actually, it looks like it's an art piece of concrete or cement or something. And he looks like a kind of a cartoon cat. Officially named Cattin' Around, the big feline was sculpted in 1992 by Mike Holleran. 7 feet high, 18 feet long, made of 1.5 tons of concrete. Its concave back serves as a bird bath. Critics say the cat looks as if it's been run over by a truck, hence its adopted name.
Oh, that's funny. That could be cute to see.
And that's just in Missoula, it looks like.
Oh, that's great.
So, yeah, that would be a thing to kind of stop by and just see.
How about the big silver slipper?
I see that one as well. The big silver slipper. A silver high-heeled lady's slipper atop a pedestal is usually lit at night with Christmas lights.
That's fun.
Sure. I'm not seeing the appeal personally, but maybe it looks cool at night. The wall of conserved elk heads actually might be kind of cool now that I'm looking at a picture. It looks like it's a whole bunch of, I don't know, are those busts? Is that what you would call them? Right from the shoulders up?
Yes.
And there's a whole bunch of them, and they're all elk on a wall. So it's not creepy at all. I don't know. That could be something that's fun. I don't know. Maybe you don't care about looking at taxidermied animal.
Here's what I like. Have you seen bad taxidermy?
Yes.
I don't think I've seen much in person, but online there are some Oh gosh, there are some pictures, and they're kind
Yeah.
of the best thing in the world. Also the worst, but it's kind of like watching a
Yep.
bad movie, it feels like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ryan, here's something else I would love help with
Okay.
is we since we're not actually going camping, we would love to not have to bring our camping gear. So we're
Oh,
thinking
okay.
of not trying to book campsites where we would do like our tent and everything. However, we're bringing sleeping bags because these first 2 nights I told you about will need sleeping bags for both of those. And
Okay.
so I'm interested in either, I mean, we can do just like Airbnbs, and I was looking them up already in Boise and Missoula. And here's the great thing about being from a place that's expensive is that when you go to other places, sometimes it's less expensive.
That's true.
You can just rent like an entire house for like $70 or $80 a night in
Yep.
both of those cities. And I was looking at them and I was just like, my jaw was dropping because I was like, these places look wonderful and they're not
Mm-hmm.
expensive. So that was
Well,
great.
what about the Potato Hotel?
I
You could
mean,
stay there.
we could check that out. But I'm curious, could we find any other unique stays where I don't need my tent, but like, are there, could we find like a yurt to stay in, or like, is there anything else
Mm,
unique that we could find where I could stay?
let's find out. I literally just Googled unique places to stay. Boise.
Really?
Yep. Why not?
Nice.
That's not Boise. Oh my. That's Idaho Falls. None of these are Boise yet. Where is that? You would love that. Where's Cottonwood?
I don't know.
Let's find where Cottonwood is. How far from Boise is it? Oh, it's not close to Boise. Never mind. I'm gonna show you though.
I just found a yurt, but it's in Garden Valley, and I don't know where that is, so I have to find out.
Where's the? You could stay at this bed and breakfast, Cheryl.
Oh my gosh, I have to go there. They're
Right?
beagles.
Yeah. Officially named Sweet Willie, this giant beagle is actually a clean and comfy B&B.
Holy moly.
Whether sleeping in the belly or in the snout, you're sure to love the kitschy canine decor, sweet homemade touches, and artistic, welcoming atmosphere that a husband wife owners Dennis and Francis create in this one of a kind stay in rural Idaho. According to Dennis and Francis, dogs and their well behaved humans are also welcome. That's why I was like, Cottonwood, where is it? And it's not close to Boise. I'm
I
so
mean,
sorry.
I guess if we went there on our way to Missoula,
You could.
oh my gosh,
It's
I
the
want to
Dog
stay
Bark
there.
Inn. It's for our listeners who can't see the picture because I just shared the picture, my screen with Cheryl. It is, and I don't, it's 2 stories, maybe probably 3 stories
Probably
tall.
3.
And it's the shape of a dog. It looks
It's a
almost like
beagle.
you would see a paper mache
Yep.
dog,
It
a
looks
beagle.
like an elementary schooler's class project.
Yep. Yep. Except you can see a window up right by the ears.
Yeah. Does that mean that there aren't windows if you stay in the belly?
I don't know. Maybe on the other side of the dog there are.
Maybe. Or maybe it's like an illusion and it actually
Right.
gives you some light through.
You can actually see through it one way, and not
Possibly.
the other way. Yep.
I want to
Anyway.
stay there.
I thought you might.
What's it called?
It's called Dog Bark Inn in Cottonwood.
Oh, the other side has a deck off of that belly level
Oh,
and a
you
big
just found that? How did you
window
find
and
that?
door on Google.
Oh, okay.
I should.
You should stay there. Oh, where's
It's
Hope?
4 hours north of Boise.
But it is on the way to Missoula,
Correct.
sort of.
It's one of the routes.
Yeah.
And it's 3 hours and 40 minutes from Missoula. Oh my gosh, I could stay there. Jack would love that. It's so weird.
Oh, this one's out of the way. If you wanted to do the trip home in 2 parts instead of 1, you could stay at the Idaho Castle in Hope.
Uh-oh. Your face. I'm concerned.
No, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to do this. No, it's a castle. I just think it's cool to be in a castle. and
Oh
it's
my
on a
gosh, it's
lake.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh.
Everybody needs, it says, there's the caption, everybody needs to stay in a castle at least once in their life. And the Idaho Castle delivers an incredibly scenic and authentic fairy tale experience that is hard to find elsewhere. Featuring a full gourmet kitchen, a tower room, and stunning panoramic views of Lake Pend, Oriel.
Lake Pend.
Pend, P-E-N-D. And then Oriel, O-R-I-E-L-L-E. I'm probably saying it all wrong.
I'm not. I found the lake.
Let me see if I can find their actual. Oh, they're on VRBO and they're on Airbnb apparently. Oh my gosh, Cheryl.
Oh, you
And
know
I know
what's
the
funny?
dog is more your thing, but
That lake, I'm going camping there on Labor Day weekend.
are you really?
Yeah. It's
Oh, that's funny.
What's it called? Sand Point.
Okay.
Daryl told me about Sand Point, and I was like, we have to go there. And so I found a campground there because it's kind of like a resort town.
That's cool.
It's $350 a night.
Yeah, so it's not cheap.
Oh,
But
that
it
would
is
be
a castle.
so much fun with a group because it has 5 bedrooms.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a fun family trip. I mean, I'm going to just heart this on Airbnb
So you don't
for
lose
a
it?
future
Yeah.
thing.
By the way, I'm getting these from onlyinyourstate.com.
Oh, I've never heard of that. Have you?
I have actually.
Okay.
I've seen it pop up on a few other things where it's a cool way to find unique things, kind of like that. I mean, obviously, Idaho is not the state that we live in, but that doesn't mean we can't use it to find stuff. So that's what I'm using to look and find both the castle and then also the Dog Bark Inn. So there's some unique. You wanted some unique places to stay. You were thinking yurt. I found you a castle and a beagle. So
The Beagle is,
oh,
they are all reserved.
that doesn't surprise me. I mean, they only have 2 rooms, I think. So
Yeah. Yeah, if you look at their calendar, it's just like reserve, reserve, reserve. Yeah.
ooh,
But if any of our listeners could stay there and give us a report, we would really appreciate that.
looking for other cool places. I'm not finding. I should probably search. Oh, but it does say Boise.
And while you're doing that, I am checking out Glacier National Park on nps.gov to
see if they're open.
Mm-hmm. Glacier National Park began increasing recreational access and services on a limited basis on June 8th.
Okay.
And then they had a press release on June 12th.
I'm not finding anything amazing in Missoula, but I am finding quite a few things that are near Missoula. Well, near, not like right near, but around the greater Missoula area, I guess.
Okay.
In Phillipsburg, there's a luxurious and spacious yurt rental.
Ooh, okay.
There is, in Hamilton, there's a unique luxury cabin with panoramic views near the Bitterroot National Forest.
Oh, fun.
There are quite a few log cabins that look like they're available.
Yeah. I love a
Mhm.
log cabin.
I don't know what any of these prices are looking like, though. Yeah, most of these are not particularly cheap, but I mean, they're, unique places to stay. So, ooh, you should stay in this one that's $431 a night.
Definitely.
Yikes. I'm not finding as many great places. Oh, wow. You could stay at the Gibson Mansion.
The Gibson Mansion.
Yep. Luxuriate in this gorgeous 1903 Victorian mansion in its opulent rooms and lovely gardens. Guests can charge up their Tesla for free at their charging station.
Okay, here's something crazy. I was looking at Glacier National Park. Oh, that mansion. Oh, that's so pretty.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like, I don't know, it reminds me of what I would expect from Gone with the Wind or
Yes.
something from the Old South. Because it has big, giant columns. It's all white and has big, huge balconies. And
Well, and in case you're picturing columns as in like each section of the building really only needs one column to support it, don't you dare worry. There are 3 columns per corner on
Per
the
corner.
front 2
Yep.
corners. And then there are mini columns, which are still probably pretty large, along the first story deck supporting the balcony above it.
Yep.
That's very
Yeah.
beautiful.
It is beautiful. It's probably out of your price range, I'm guessing.
I'm guessing so.
But it looks pretty.
So here's what's crazy is it looks like there might be some lodging available in Glacier National Park,
Oh, really?
which would be so cool. I was trying to figure out because I was reading their website and it looks like they are allowing people in and they are allowing lodging. But I would wonder, like, are they limiting the number of people who can just like drive in at any day? And then
Right.
it was saying something about before June 15th that you had to leave by 4:30 unless you were staying there. So I clicked on lodging. You could see all of their lodging on one page, and most of them were booked, but there were a couple available. So
Oh,
I might even just try to book a hotel in the park. 'Cause
yeah.
then we have to be able to get in, right? Unless
would
they
think
want to
so.
cancel my reservation, which, you know.
Well, there is that.
Oh, this one that's available is scheduled to open on July 1st.
Okay.
So as long as it actually does. This is one of those situations I love doing everything online. I think I'm just going to make some phone calls though.
To talk to them and say, hey, what does it actually look like?
And can I enter the park and like
Yeah.
all those things. Because it's just this weird thing where like we just don't know. You know, there's
Mhm.
so much unknown.
It's true. And sometimes you're right. Just making the phone call
Yeah.
makes a big difference.
Well, because sometimes then, because like, okay, we are both in King County. So we're
Mhm.
paying a lot of attention to our county,
Right.
but I'm not paying a lot of attention to other counties. And so to call someone who's working at a business in another place and say, hey, what is this looking like for you? They're just going to have so much more real information, I feel
Yeah.
like.
Cheryl, we've talked about a lot of different ideas and things. Do you feel like you've got some stuff to work on? You got some stars on your Google map
I
and an
have
idea
some
what you may
stars.
want to do on this trip?
Yes, I have some stars. And I think my big priority is going to be to try to make reservations at places. I really do like to have reservations before going somewhere for hotels or Airbnbs or
Yeah.
whatever like sleeping accommodations. But I think especially right now with like still being in COVID times, I would like to have some things reserved to
Yeah.
make sure that we're good to go and that we can make all of this loop work as well.
Right. Because the timing will matter. So you don't have to drive for 15 hours the last day to get home.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and the good thing is we're planning on getting home on a Saturday, which gives us that Sunday as extra
To
time.
recover.
Which I used to not do because, I just feel like, well, if I have this many days off of work, then I want to like be in that place for that full
Right.
time. And then also whenever I give myself that extra day for laundry and sleeping and everything, it's just so nice.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. It really is.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think I'm probably going to reserve accommodations and maybe the zoo and then just kind of keep an eye on my options as things progress in the next couple weeks.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
packing is going to be so much easier now that I'm not packing for camping.
Camping.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's going to cost more, but then also it's going to be simpler. So that'll be nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Good point. Great. Let's go ahead and move to the last segment of our episode called Wish You Were Here. During this section, both Cheryl and I will share a travel attraction, some cool place that we've been or thing that we've seen, and we'll just kind of highlight it, just a brief little snapshot. Think of it like a little postcard that says, Wish You Were Here, with a cute little picture on the front. So Cheryl, what would you like to do for your Wish You Were Here today?
I want to share about a restaurant/shop in New Orleans that I went to on my honeymoon. And, we had a lot of good food from a lot of great restaurants there. This food was not your typical New Orleans food.
Okay.
But, boy, was it good. You would love it.
Okay. Is it baked?
No, but it's cheese.
Oh, okay.
It is called St. James Cheese Company, and we went to the Warehouse District location. I guess they have 2 locations. And
Okay.
it was pretty close to where we were staying in the French Quarter. And it looks just like a cheese shop. So like with like display cases of all these types of cheese and like little shelves with other various things you can get just like purchase there. And then it also kind of just looks like a coffee shop because you can order various coffees there. But they have a menu, and it is a good menu.
Yeah.
So I'm going to send you their menu here. There you go.
Okay.
Check out their menu.
Oh, these are all just cheeses.
These are sandwiches. And then the names, I mean, most of the names of their sandwiches are
Just
types of cheeses.
Oh, interesting.
But they're
Salads.
just such good sandwiches.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness. The people next to us got the mac and cheese, and I wanted to drool over their mac and cheese, but I thought it would be rude.
Cheryl, I'm looking at the menu right now. It's called the Cheesemonger's Mac and Cheese.
Yes. Don't worry. It's served with a small green salad, so you're fine.
Jeez Louise.
So I got the Lomo Bocadillo. It's the bottom of all of the sandwiches on that page.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like an open-faced sandwich, and it had manchego on it and arugula, and then it was topped with a fried egg, and it was amazing. The bread was it was so good. I just was so happy. But it was like the hardest thing ever to order. Actually, I think Daryl ordered for me because I wanted to get one of everything.
Yeah, I'm
because
sure you did,
everything on that menu was just so good. They also just like you can get like a cheese and charcuterie board. Looks like they have a good happy hour where they do like cheese boards for less. Yeah, if you're in New Orleans, take a break from the gumbo and go to St. James Cheese Company because it is so good. So that's my wish you were here.
Cool.
How about you, Ryan?
I'm going to do something from my trip down to LA. So I mostly went to Disneyland and then visiting my sister, but there was one day where I got together with some other friends that lived down there, and we went into actual LA and did some different things. We went to the La Brea Tar Pits, which I've already talked about, and we did Angel's Flight, which you had mentioned on the podcast.
Yeah.
So I got to do that. But one of the other things that I don't know if we did, but we walked in and is really, really cool, is called the Bradbury Building.
Ooh. Beth briefly took me in there.
Yeah. And it's I don't know how to describe it, because even looking at the pictures online, like I just Googled it real quick to look at pictures, it doesn't really capture how cool it looks in person. So it's an old, historic, classic building, and it's wood paneling, and then I don't know if it actually is wrought iron, but it looks like wrought iron kind of like around the stairs and the old school elevator cages and all these. It's just a beautiful, beautiful interior to the building. Unfortunately, other than just walking in on the main floor, you can't go anywhere unless you actually know someone who works there or does something there. But you can walk into the building and look at the architecture, and it's gorgeous. Mm-hmm. You have been in, Cheryl? I can't remember.
Yes, I went there on the day that I went to the Grand Central Market and Angel's Flight.
Hey, I did those 3 things that same day too.
So, hey, that's a good little package of 3 different wish you were here that someone could hit in one day.
But,
it was beautiful. I wish that they offered tours or something, because I would love to see more of it. It is in the movie 500 Days of Summer, I believe.
Oh, okay. I have not seen that movie, so I would not know.
Yes, it looks like it's one of them like waiting for a job interview or something like that. And yeah, it's so beautiful in there. It's a really amazing space. It's not surprising that they would shoot a movie scene in there.
Yeah. So that would be my wish you were here. Would
Love
be
it.
the Bradbury Building in Los Angeles. Very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's all we got for this episode. We would love it if you would follow us on social media. We are at Timwy Podcast. That's TMWI for Take Me With You Podcast on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter.
You can also email us at timwepodcast@gmail.com. Send us your guest suggestions. Send us a story about a time when you had to change a trip last minute and what happened. We would love to hear.
We would. And if you'd like to actually tell us the story instead of typing us a story, you can call us and leave us a voicemail. The number to do that is 406-763-8699. Another way to remember that is 406-POD-TIMWE. We'd love it if you would rate and review our podcast to tell other people what you think. Subscribe to make sure that you don't miss any episodes. And be sure to share about this episode on social media so other people can hear about adjusting expectations and making new plans.
As always, thank you to Beth Reed Miller for the awesome artwork. You can check out more of Beth's artwork at Beth Is Something. And thank you to Erica Corbin for the use of her song Round the Globe. You can listen to Erica's music wherever music is sold or streamed.
That's all we got for this episode, unless all of a sudden everything changes again and we have to re-record it for a third time. But assuming that doesn't happen, please, between now and whenever that happens to be, remember to take me with you.
Take me with you!
Can we get a sailboat chasing down the sunset as we float round and round the globe? Salty air and balmy nights, guided only by the